Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth and I'd like to welcome you to the PD session, Roots Beneath the STEM, where we're going to take a deeper look at what STEM is and also look at a couple of ways that we can get more STEM into our classrooms. I'd like to please start off with a quote that I love. STEM is messy, STEM is loud, STEM is chaotic, but it's so exciting and engaging to see. And this is really why I got involved with STEM and hopefully why you'll fall in love with it too. In groups, I'd like to kick off with asking the question, what does STEM mean to you? And what does it look like in the classroom? So if you could please take 3 minutes to discuss this with your groups and create a mind map of your ideas. Okay, I want to leave that mind map for now and we will come back to it. But first, let's get into a background of STEM. Currently, one of the most popular buzzwords in primary education and secondary education is STEM. This acronym is short for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and it seems to be as misunderstood as it is popular among teachers and other professionals. STEM appears as though it's going to be around for a while. The introduction of STEM into the Australian curriculum has cemented its place in modern education with a focus on the future. Now, this is a justified movement because STEM education is required to enable people to fill an increasing number of STEM-related careers, and it will also impact society's ability to solve increasingly complex problems. Many of the students that we are currently teaching in primary school are going to grow up and have careers and jobs that don't even exist at the moment. So for this to happen, teaching strategies and practices must improve and connect maths and science with real-world skills and potential careers to motivate students' interest in maths and science. Therefore, teachers should engage with STEM PD to prepare students to be successful in STEM learning. So you guys are on the right track already. Next, I'd like to discuss STEM and what exactly it is, and perhaps more importantly, what it's not. So as a model, STEM has many interpretations. Some teachers view STEM as an acronym that simply represents the independent subjects of science, maths, or technology. Science and STEM are often used interchangeably, and professionals, including teachers, do this. But science is not a definition for STEM. I've also seen teachers allow free play with blocks and other building materials and also call that STEM. Free play absolutely has its place in education, and building in and of itself is beneficial, but it's definitely not STEM. What STEM is an integrative concept combining 2 or more, ideally all 4, of the comprising disciplines of STEM. The main aim of STEM is to see students working in an integrated manner. Now that we know what PBL in STEM is and also why it's beneficial and why we should use it, I'd like to take a look at what planning STEM PBL looks like. Firstly, it's important to note that these steps don't have to happen in this order, as you'll see in a moment. So firstly, think of a driving question that is relevant to students' worldview. What is going to get your students interested? Consider how you'll make the learning journey engaging as students create their own knowledge and design a product or output. How are you going to keep them involved and engaged? Develop an outline of what areas of the curriculum will be targeted and identify relevant elaborations within the syllabus. Plan to engage experts or professionals relevant to the project, either to help students or as an audience when students present their findings at the end of the unit. Cycling back to the beginning, think about an interesting hook, as well as a potential timeline for your STEM PBL unit. And last but not least, design an assessment schedule relevant to the disciplines covered and also plan opportunities for reflection for students. Okay, I want to pause and get you guys involved again, looking at a STEM PBL unit. So on your tables, you will see a PBL unit called Enduring Cyclones. It's a reasonably detailed but adaptable unit for Year 6. I'd like you to take a look at it, please, and then use your iPads to identify which disciplines should be assessed and also identify what elaborations are addressed by this STEM PBL unit. I'm going to give you guys about 6 or 7 minutes to do that. Then we'll come back together and share our thoughts and see what other groups thought about this STEM PBL unit as well. Okay, thank you. Those were some really, really great ideas. And I think we've covered just about every elaboration that's addressed by that unit, including individual subjects as well as cross-curricular priorities. So you've taken a look at a PBL unit, and you also now have an understanding of how to plan for a PBL unit. Now I just want to talk for a moment, briefly, about what implementing STEM PBL might look like in your classroom. STEM PBL is a student-centered style of teaching and learning, meaning there may be a shift in the dynamics of your classroom, especially if you prefer a more traditional teacher-centered style of teaching and learning. Our role as teachers is to support students as they learn to communicate, reason, and problem solve within the context of STEM PBL. Just go with the flow, allowing your students to have autonomy and guide themselves through their own learning experience makes room for exciting and innovative pedagogical strategies. After you introduce the driving question and students set off on their journey, there will be a diverse range of experiences informed by the students and their worldview, as well as the scope of the project. To really keep things flowing, just remember to regularly revisit the driving question to help students stay on track and also help students keep track of time so that they can meet their scheduled targets within the lesson or the unit. Okay, planning and assessment. This is really important because this is a concern that a lot of teachers have with regards to time. It's important to note that STEM PBL is not an extra subject or an add-on that you need to squeeze into your teaching and learning hours of your already jam-packed school week. It's merely a method of teaching and learning that integrates several disciplines. So not only does STEM encompass science, technology, and mathematics, but it could also really easily include art, social sciences, including history, as well as literacy. Some teachers express concern not only about the amount of time that it takes to plan STEM lessons and units, but also how to break down activities without knowing how long students will take to work through them. With practice, you will become a more efficient STEM planner, and assessments can be built into the unit for any relevant subject area. It's also important to note that you shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. There are a plethora of resources online, both for individual STEM lessons and STEM units that are already created and made for you that you merely have to adapt to suit the students that are in front of you. I'd like to get you guys active within your groups again with a loose task idea of building a tower. And it's important to note that a tower can be many different things. It could be a ladder, it could be some type of building or some type of scaffolding. And I want you to think and discuss about how this task could be transformed into a PBL STEM unit. So please think about the target audience, what year level, the purpose of it, and also the relevance to students, math, science, and technology curricula. I want you to think about the question or problem because it should require students to investigate, research, and collaborate. So please brainstorm this together and record your thoughts. Now that you've finished, I'd like each group to swap their mind maps with another group. Okay, thank you. Now, I'd like you to look at the other group's ideas as a group, discuss it, and use the TAG or tag format for feedback. This is also a great way to scaffold and structure peer feedback in the lower years. Using this regularly throughout a STEM PBL unit gives students the chance to analyze their peers' work and also get feedback on their own. Lastly, I'd like to touch on STEM and how it affects individual disciplines. STEM in the Australian curriculum is addressed within the general capabilities as well as the specific subjects of math, science, and technology. With so much curriculum content to cover in a very limited amount of time, it becomes important to plan STEM lessons well so they can be effectively integrated with other subjects. The extent to which STEM is included in instruction correlates to educators' ability to establish explicit connections between disciplines. So, STEM PBL can actually improve students' understanding of vocabulary words, helping students connect words with imagery in a tangible way. It's also been found that students were more likely to correctly use scientific terminology in their writing after being involved with a concept in a hands-on way and using that new vocabulary word in action. Research has shown that teaching science within an engineering context, again, which is similar to PBL, can improve students' learning and interest in science. Similarly, literature shows that PBL promotes a deeper understanding of mathematical concepts and also increases students' ability to retain and apply information. Just remember that balance is key. Teachers have indicated that they struggle to cover the necessary science curriculum content within an engaging and appropriate engineering challenge. I'd like to turn this over to you again. I'm going to give you a minute to discuss in your groups what you perceive as being necessary to teach them effectively. Then we'll come together and I'll get a few of the groups to share your ideas. Okay, those are some interesting ideas. On the next slide, we're going to look at what other teachers have to say about what they need to teach STEM effectively. Other teachers say planning time is very important, as well as support from the leadership teams, either teacher leaders or admin, collaboration with other like-minded teachers who have similar goals, as well as ongoing PD. So, as a final note, I'd like to just take a moment to talk about reflection and recommend that you keep a STEM learning journal. Look back once a week to reflect on what you did well, what you can improve, and record your reflections. I'd also highly recommend that you get together in your learning areas during meetings or with like-minded colleagues who want to discuss reflections and progress in STEM-based pedagogy. We'll finish off where we started with a quote. "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." And this is from Benjamin Franklin, although I'm pretty sure he got the idea from a Chinese proverb. And very lastly, I'd like you to please use your mind maps and use the TAG method to provide some feedback for me for this PD session. Thank you.